सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। एतस्मात् जायते प्राणः मनः सर्वेन्द्रियाणि च खं वायुज्योतिरापः पृथिवी विश्वस्य धारिणी। Yeah, this we saw. Etasmat jayate. And what is this? Etasmat means from this alone. What is this? Adharam anandam akhanda bodham. Earlier it was described in the 15th, whatever number you have. In the previous verse, it was described Adharam anandam akhanda bodham. Adhara means the basis of everything, the baseless basis, that which itself doesn't have a base, but it brings everything to forth, sustains everything, unto which everything resolves, itself is free of everything. And the example that is always given is the one of the canvas. The canvas on which the horror movie is being projected. Why horror movie? Samsara. Samsara is like a horror movie, or sometimes like a sad movie with a few running around, like the Bollywood movies. They have these scenes of people running around behind the trees, around the trees. Few musical moments. That's it. That is samsara. So what happens is the jiva becomes jiva because they identify with a movie, not with a screen. The tapestry is the atma, because without a surface you cannot have a movie. Think about that. Yeah, you cannot have a movie just out, on a field. You need a surface. And in India, in the villages, this is what they would do. 20-30 years ago, maybe even now they do, I don't know. They used to rent the movie from the some old ones which nobody wanted. They would rent those reels, and then they would put up a tattered screen and the audience would sit on both sides. And on the wrong side, you would make all the children sit because they don't care which way it is. And this side, all the adults sat. And then, and then somebody would be doing, and then in between there would be a little gap, because it was in those days where you had to actually physically take the reel and mount it on the projector. And then whenever there was a gap, the children would all go and touch the screen. What happened to the hero? Where did he go? What happened to the, and they would look on the other side. Is the hero gone behind? Where is the villain? So they would touch the screen in disbelief. So like this jiva, identifies with the screen rather than the movie. And what happens if you identify with the movie and not the screen? You scream. That's what happens. And so therefore, Adharam Anandam Akhanda Bodham. Bodham here doesn't mean knowledge. Bodham means that Chaitanya Swarupa. Yeah, that consciousness, that awareness, which is not morphed or cut up into knower known. It just is. Even though it may take the form of the knower and the known, it does not undergo any change. Like even as you project things, project the dream world, you do not undergo any change. So therefore, from this jatah etasmat jayate, from this alone is born. What is born? Pranah. And the first thing that is taken is prana. What is prana?
The subtle world, the life force.
Yeah, the subtle life force. That which gives all the beings the ability to be sentient, correct? That's what we think, but that's not what is true. But the common understanding of prana is that which makes something alive is prana, correct? Yeah. What is the difference between a dead tree and the live tree? Dead tree lying in a form of a log on the side, and the live tree standing straight. What is the difference? Prana, the presence or the absence of the subtle body, including the prana. The tree is also alive, which is breathing, but then if it is felled, then it is no longer having that prana, correct? The portions that have been cut away, even if they are bright green, after 2 days you walk that same way, they become brown and shriveled and dried up, and the wood also dries. This is prana. And so, everybody depends on prana, correct? And in another Upanishad it says, Prano vai Ishvaraha. Ishvara itself is prana. Prana is invoked, as a form of Bhagavan, because it is Sutratma, it is that which binds everything together. It is that which brings things to life. But then you have to ask one more question. What is that one more question? Does the Atma need CPR? Yeah? First of all, where will you do? CPR means you have to only do it in the correct place, You can't do it in the toes and on the nose and then say, bring the person back to life. CPR has to be done properly in the correct place, it should be done. So where is the Atma? First of all, where are you going to locate it? And then where are you going to make it lie down, and where are you going? This is all pervasive Atma, correct? So does this Atma need prana to be sentient? No. The only thing that doesn't need prana, which is the source of even the prana, is Atma. Therefore, we begin with prana when we look at the Tatastha Lakshana of Brahman. Here, the Tatastha Lakshana means the definition that comes and goes. This is a definition only in connection with the creation. Because when there is no creation, in between cycles of creation, is there prana? No, because prana comes along with creation. Because when there is no creation, there are no bodies sentient or insentient, there is no differentiation. So prana is also unmanifest. Kham, Vayu, Jyoti, Apaha, all these 5 elements are unmanifest. The Ishvarik power, Maya, is unmanifest. The Jiva, unmanifest. Everything is unmanifest. So that unmanifest definition, the definition of that, its own Swarupa, the nature of the unmanifest was given in the last verse. Akhanda Adharam Ananda Akhanda Rupa. By itself, that is uniquely its nature, that which is the basis of everything, that in itself is not morphed into lower knowledge divisions, that which is Ananda, that which simply is. And then when it is in a manifest form, from that alone is the truth of that alone is upholding the manifest universe. And the manifest form is what? This only. The manifest form is. Prana is not separate from Brahman. Prana is Brahman. Brahman is not prana. And then, prana, why we start with prana? Because we think that prana makes the subtle body. Because in the dead body, there is no prana. You pinch the dead body, it will not say, ouch. Correct? And therefore, they say that the prana has departed. What has departed? The prana has departed. So therefore, there is an imbuing of the prana with, there is a feeling that sentience and prana are synonyms. Prana is just a medium for the sentience to manifest. That we have to understand properly. Prana is a medium for this sentience to come alive, to broadcast itself. So in beings that do not have prana, mrit shiladaya, like stone and mud and clay and all, there is no prana, so that the clay will not say, stop, I am dizzy, stop throwing me on the wheel and spinning it so fast, I can't handle it, what are you doing to me? It cannot say that because there is no prana. So the prana becomes a a very primal thing in this universe which is very worshipful, because without prana, you cannot live, and you cannot even be without, for 2 minutes without breathing you cannot be, correct? Yeah. These yogis and all, they stop breathing for a long time so that they can live longer and outwit the prana. That is what they do. They slow down the breathing. Yogis, deep sea divers, and these mountain climbers, they know how to live in this rarefied air. They train themselves. But even then they can achieve only so many times. That's all. So many minutes, so many seconds, but not beyond that. And because if without prana, without all the, and prana here is the upalakshana for all, vyana, apana, udana, samana, everything. So vyana, circulation, apana, elimination, samana, digestive functions. Vyana, udana, samana, apana, yeah. And then udana, what is udana? That which tells the other four, let's get out of here, time's up. It's like an internal clock. Tick, 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 tick. Each time you breathe, it ticks, like a little counter. And you come to this world not with a finite number of years, but with a finite number of breaths. So you breathe in, breathe. That's why they say don't hyperventilate. Never ask for a paper bag. Why? Because it costs money in Eugene now. Yeah. So everywhere you go, you have to bring your own bag. Otherwise they'll charge, they'll charge, it's like paper bag means what? Sometimes when there is agitation, a little carbon dioxide brings the person back to their senses. So that is why they say breathe in a paper bag when you are anxious or agitated. For the Ghora Vritti, it is good. In case anybody missed Panchadashi today. So therefore, prana. So because the prana is such a vital thing, because it is that which is called Sutratma. Sutre Maniganaha Iva. Like the string which has a number of beads strung on it. It strings this whole universe together and brings it alive. But really, does it bring it alive? No, because the prana has a dada. Dada means grandfather. Who is the dada of prana? You, Atma. Yes, Atma is what brings prana. Etasmat Atmanah jayate. From this Atma alone, the prana is this thing. This is a very, very nice contemplative set of verses are coming. Even this one is nice. As you are breathing, you can think, am I breathing? And who is the one who is breathing? Body is breathing, yes. But the one who is observing the breath is free of the need to breathe, really. Etasmat jayate prana. So if prana is coming from this fellow, then what about manaha? What about the mind? Huh? Mind kidhar se aaya? Mind also from the same Atma. The mind is very difficult to give up the identification. Because I am as good as what I think I am. And therefore, if the mind is restless, the person says, I am restless, I am angry, I am, not liking this. I am not liking this means I am as good as the ragadveshas. I am restless means I am as good as the ghora vritti. I am sad, I am as good as the mudha vritti. Like this. So therefore, so the mind itself is born of this Atma. So mind, all the subtle things are talked about first, which are difficult to observe and delineate, and then sarvendriyani, all the senses are born. So first we talk about the level of the micro, the body itself, prana, manaha, indriyani, everything is born of Atma alone. And then what? Then you go to the source of prana, mana, indriyani. Where are they crafted from? The 5 elements, correct? Yeah. And where did the 5 elements come from? Atma. Where else? Yeah. So kham means space. Kham Vayuhu Jyotihi Apaha. And then, so space, air, fire, and the waters, and then this earth, which is seen as that which holds everything, correct? And who holds this earth? Atma. So this is Prithvi Vishwasya Dharani, the one who supports the entire Jagat. Really, Atma alone supports this. So saying this, the teacher gives the final touches on the teaching. Let us see. Yat param brahma sarvatma
Yatparam Brahma Sarvatma
Vishwasya yatanam mahat
Vishwasyayatanam Mahat
Sukshmat sukshmataram nityam
Sukshma Sukshmataram Nityam
Tattvameva tvameva tat.
Tattvameva Tvameva Tat.
Beautiful, yeah. So yat means what? That which is under discussion. What is under discussion? What is under discussion? Atma. You. You are the one under discussion. Atma is under discussion. And now he switches. First he talked about it as Atma. Now he has switched back to Brahma. Why? Because he doesn't know how to talk. He keeps changing his mind. Bad teacher, correct? Confused teacher. No. Yeah. Why? Because they are synonyms. They are identical. There is no Brahman without being you. Because Brahman loses its limitlessness if it is not at once you as well. It has to be you. There is no Brahman outside of you. There is no Brahman other than you. There is no Brahman like you. There is no Brahman unlike you. Any other questions? No. Let's move on. So therefore, so he changes the word here. Yat param brahma. That which is the ultimate, the absolute Sat, without which nothing exists. What is that? Sarvatma. Here he shows that there is a synonym here. That which is the Atma of all. The I in the buffalo, the I in the frog, the I in the cat, rat, the I in the anything that can refer to itself as I is just one. There is only one I. So many you, second person, he, she, it. And if you are from the south, you can say y'all, but you cannot say I all, correct? Yeah. We all is different. We are counting bodies there. But when you talk of I, it is delightfully singular. Grammatically also it is singular. And here it is called Sarvatma, the I in all, the I of everything, the truth of everything. That Brahman alone is Sarvatma. Just see the meaning first. Vishwasya ayatanam mahat. Ayatanam means the support, the refuge of the whole entire universe. Mahat means the limitless resource, the limitless support of the entire universe. Mahat also means great, huge, big. So now we have a very interesting thing here. So Yat Param Brahma, that which we are talking of, that which you came to me, you came to say, you asked me for what earlier? Adhihi Bhagavan Brahma Vidyam Varishtham. Remember the first yavas? First mantra was Brahma Vidyam Varishtham, the most exalted knowledge called Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of Brahman, please teach me. So he says that which you are asking, finally the answer is coming here. That which you are asking as an answer to your question. And what is that answer to your question? That the knowledge of Brahman is you alone. That is Sarvatma. That is not just you, but the you in all the people that cannot be objectified. Because see, when you look at me, you are not objectifying me. What are you objectifying? The body. Or if you can read my mind, you are objectifying my mind, correct? Or if you can read the senses, you call out to me and I don't respond. So you say, okay, the hearing is going. Let's say if you were to say that, then you are objectifying the senses. But you're not objectifying me, because the me in me is the same as the me in you. That's all it is. There's only one I. So there is that which I cannot objectify in you is the same I that you cannot objectify in me. Yeah. When I look at you, I can also look at your body, look at your mind perhaps. But I cannot objectify you, because that you is the same as me. This is what is called Sarvatma. And the ability to be able to sense that in everything is called knowledge, self-knowledge. And so he reintroduces the word Brahman here, because that question, the teacher has a very good memory. The teacher remembers that he had asked a question about Brahma Vidya. And so here he says, here is your Brahman. Not your Brahman, you Brahman. Here is you Brahman. And you are that Brahman alone. And what is the meaning of the word Brahman? From Brihi, which is big. The root verb Brihi, which is Vriddhau, which is in the sense of bigness. But bigness is relative, correct? If I say, look at this big piece of black pepper, it is black pepper big, correct? Mustard seed big. But then if I say, look at this big mountain, then you're not going to look here, you have to look up. Mountain big. So the big has very different connotations depending upon the object. But here the big refers to the subject, not the object. A sizeless subject. The size is always a very interesting question, because the size is always something that is calculated according to how much space it occupies, correct? So the size is always how much space it occupies. Meaning, like, I'll give you an example. Like sometimes I've seen near the airline counters or near the gate, when you go to climb the plane, they will say, please check your carry-on. They will have a little empty thing and with some inches and everything. Please put your carry-on in this little thing, and if it doesn't fit, we have to check it in, because this is our rule. So what is that? That size is how much space it occupies, correct? Yeah. So how are you going to, measure Brahman? Correct? This many inches, this long, because the measurements are always three-dimensional. You have the weight, the height, and then you have the width, and then you have what is called the length. So how are you going to measure Brahman when we have just finished hearing in the last, just not even one verse ago, that out of this Brahman space has come, correct? So here is something that which is not connected to size in any way at all. It has nothing to do with size, because it doesn't have anything to do with space, ever. Why? Because space, it is the author of space, it is the mother of space, it is the father of space. It is not subject to space. So therefore, again another similar question, where is Brahman, puts us in the same awkward situation. Because where means we have to look where. And again the object depends on where I look. If you say, where is the Mount Everest, then I will look in a particular direction, correct? Or if you say, where is this small little, pin that I lost, then you look in a different place, because again those objects are, estimated according to size. And here is Brahman, which means limitlessly big, but which has no size. Which means big. Big without size means what? No particular size means that which is bigger than the biggest, that which is smaller than the smallest, that which upholds the big and the small, and the space which is used as a measurement for big and the small, without being either big or small. It simply is limitless. It accommodates everything and transcends everything also. Understood? So therefore, how big is Brahman is not a valid question, because again we are looking at Brahman from the viewpoint of space. And we have, that's why the other verse came first. That etasmat jayate kham. Kham means what? Space. Space comes from this. This doesn't come from space. But tied as we are into this space-time matrix, it's very difficult to understand how something is big but without having space as a parameter. How can something be outside of space? It is not outside of space. Oh, so it is inside space? You cannot say it is inside space. It is on top of space? No, you cannot say it is on top of space. It is underneath space? No, it is not underneath space. Then where is Brahman? Same way you can ask, where is clay in the pot? Is it in the pot? No, in the pot is pot space. We already established that yesterday. So is it underneath the pot? No. Is it on top of the pot? Where is the clay? In fact, all of the whole entire pot is nothing but clay, correct? Yeah. So all the things in this universe, big, small, tall, fat, thin, everything that is measured by space is nothing but Brahman. And Brahman itself is free of all measurements. Refuses to stand on a weighing scale. Yeah. Will not stand. Why? Because it is everything. It's essentially weightless, upholds everything that has weight. Essentially measureless, upholds everything that has measure. Essentially limitless, accommodates everything with limits, as though limits. And so therefore, tat yat param brahma, that Brahman that you were asking for, which is what? Which is the Atma of everyone, which is the Atma of you, the Atma of the teacher, Atma of, everything, all the creatures. And what else is it? It is the support of the entire universe. If you take away one thing from the universe, which is Brahman, what will remain? What will remain if you take away Brahman, from the universe? What will remain? Huh? What will remain? Huh? Yeah, nothing will remain. So it's like saying, if you take away the dreamer from the dream, can the dream sustain itself? No. Similarly, from the universe, if you take away Brahman, there is nothing that remains. And it is just like saying, if you withdraw the gold from the world of ornaments, ornaments, will not remain. Or because the truth of the ornament is gold. What differs is the nama and the rupa. So here too, Brahman is that Adhara, the Adhishthana, I told you, that Adhishthana of the entire universe. Vishvasya Ayatanam means the Adhishthana of the entire universe, including the waker, including the dreamer, including the three states that we learnt yesterday, that we talked about. It is the Adhara, it is the Adhishthana. If you pull away, it is like pulling the rug from under the universe. Nothing remains. Everything resolves, because the existence of, when we say everything plus Brahman, the everything has a very iffy status. It is just like the ornament, correct? Yeah, it is just like the ornament, but with which entirely depends on its existence for gold, on gold. So similarly, Brahman depends. On Brahman depends the entire universe. And this is what is talked about here. Vishvasya ayatanam mahat. And then sukshmat sukshmataram nityam. First it was said it was mahat. It is great. It is huge. It is the support of the whole universe. And then sukshmat sukshmataram, the subtler than the subtlest. Because this is where it's showing it is free of size. If it's bigger than the biggest, Anoho Aniyan, in another Kathopanishad it says, Mahato Mahiyan, greater than the greatest, smaller than the smallest. That means what? You cannot look at it size wise. If you are wise, you will not think of size when you discuss Brahman. That's what is called size wise. Yeah, you become wise as to not apply size to Brahman, because any notion of sizing up Brahman requires that you put Brahman within space, which is the upside down of what is happening here. Brahman is not, but the space is Brahman, Brahman is not space. So therefore, this whole thing of size doesn't work. So the mind has to be boggled to understand this. So first saying it is Vishvasya Ayatanam Mahat, it is greater than the greatest. Then you think of some, like that, what is that? There is one, what is that Greek god who is kneeling down and holding the whole earth on the shoulders? Hercules, like Hercules or someone? No, not Hercules. Atlas, someone. So there is one, there is Atlas, yeah. Atlas shrugged. So, so Atlas is holding the whole, earth, just one planet Earth, kneeling down, and there is this face like this. Oh, so like this Brahman is, burdened and holding the earth. Prithivi Vishvasya Dharani is also being, held by Brahman. Everything is being held by Brahman. And then Brahman must be very tired. As soon as you get that image of that Atlas-like Brahman holding this universe, immediately what? It says Sukshmat Sukshmataram Brahma. Means it is bigger than the biggest. But then it is the Adhara of everything. And then what? It is smaller than the tiniest thing, smaller than that. Anoho aniyan, smaller than an atom. Meaning, no size is its size. You cannot size it up. So the one problem with size is that it looks at, it makes space bigger than Brahman. The other problem with trying to gauge the size of Brahman is it makes it dependent upon the observer. So all that has come, the observer itself is Brahman. So all that has come from Brahman is what? Mithya. Just like the ornament, just like the pots, just like so many wooden chairs and tables and the wood world, but then the wood is one and it lends its existence, its presence and its being to all the things made of various artifacts. It lends its existence. So the shine of the ornament belongs actually to the gold, the weight of the ornament belongs to the gold. The size of the ornament also is the property of gold, not the ornament. The ornament is just a name and form. So likewise, this Brahman is the adhisthana of the entire universe. And then you quickly say, where is it, where is it? And then it says, Sukshmat Sukshmataram is not an object of perception. Oh, but then if it's not an object of perception, how and on earth am I going to know it? Well, Nityam Tvameva. How are you going to know it? Because it is you. When? Right now? No, Nityam Tvameva. All the time it is you. Ever it was you. Oh, even when I was ignorant of Brahman, I was Brahman? Yes. Even when I know Brahman, now still I am Brahman? Yes. Oh, thank God. So this is what it is. It is all the time you alone. It obtains as you. Oh, but I can't make an object out of it. I cannot perceive it as an object. Well, you need not perceive it as an object. Why? Because you are here and you are self-revealing, aren't you? Yes or no? Yes? What is the meaning of self-revealing? The answer to the question, are you here? If you say yes, it is self-revealing. If you say no, we'll have to talk about it tomorrow. Yeah. Are you here? Yes. So you have to say yes. You cannot say I'm not here. That is a form of self-denial. You can say I'm not here, but what happens when you say I'm not here? You advertise your presence, yeah, not your absence. You advertise your presence when you say I'm not here. So when you say I am here, that I cannot be objectified. That is true. But what we do not understand is it need not be objectified. things come to be known in two ways. And I'm going to get technical here. You are forewarned. So, things come to be known in two ways. Either you should have an appropriate means of knowledge, correct? To know it. Like, for example, I need the eyes to declare this to be a pot. Yeah. This is not the time to say all that is here is clay. Okay? So, to see a pot, what do I need? Eyes. To hear something, I need the ears, correct? So the eyes and the ears in these examples become a means of knowledge that make the pot siddha. Pot siddha? Siddha means what? The one who has lot of siddhis? No. Siddha here is just a technical term to say establishes the pot. The eyes are the means of knowledge that brings the pot to light. Because unlike you, the pot is not self-revealing. The pot doesn't say, look at me, I'm here too. You know, when you say, are you here? And all the students say, yes. And the pot also pipes in, I'm here too. No, that doesn't happen. You are the one to have to say, you know, ghataha idam. You know, ayam ghataha. You know, this is a pot. You have to say that. So when you say ghatoyam, this is a pot. And then what happens? You know, the pot is objectified with the help of the eyes. Correct? Yeah. So this is, the pot becomes siddha, means here known, established by the means of a knowledge, by the means of a means of knowledge, with the help of a means of knowledge called drishti, sight. So this is what happens to all the objects in the universe. They are technically called Pramana Siddha. Pramana Siddha. You know? Pramana Siddha means what? Established by a means of knowledge. Objectified with the help of a means of knowledge. With the help of a Pramana. So all the objects in the world, everything that you look at is Pramana Siddha. So what about, objects like pot, hat, cat, rat, Pramana Siddha, correct? And then trees, Pramana Siddha, mountains, Pramana Siddha, water, Pramana Siddha, fire, air, Pramana Siddha, space, Pramana Siddha. Which Pramana establishes space? Huh? Huh?
Touch.
No. Yeah, how do you objectify space? This is a nice question, isn't it? How does space become siddha to you? How does space become evident to you? No, sound and hearing. Your body is in space, but how do you know that? How do you know that? That is coming close. How do you know, okay, my body is in space? How do you know that? Anumana? No. You cannot say, I infer, therefore there is space. No, you cannot perceive space. How can you perceive space? No. You can't see space. You can see things in space, correct, but you cannot see space. No, mind does get spaced out, but no, mind in a way you are correct. Yeah, it's the same way that you objectify time. Witness perception, it is called. Sakshi Pratyaksha. Witness perception, a kind of a sensation in the mind that, so somebody crowding, somebody is looking over your shoulder. You don't see them, but and they are not even breathing down your neck, but you sense a certain feeling of constriction. So that so it's not it's something that happens in the mind. The sakshi, the witness, when the mind aligns itself into a place of the witness, then it perceives both space and time. How do you know how much time has elapsed? Correct? Yeah. Sakshi Pratyaksha. How do you know how much space is required for something? Sakshi Pratyaksha. so Sakshi Pratyaksha objectifies space and time. So we have Pramana Siddha, correct? And then we have Sakshi Siddha, if you want to make that into another category, usually it's not. And so where does Atma come in? Is Atma established by a Pramana? By a means of knowledge? Which means of knowledge will you use to establish Atma? Shabda Pramana does not establish Atma. No. Vedanta does not establish Atma. Thank God. Yeah. Vedanta only removes the ignorance associated with an already established, already existent Atma. So that brings me to the second category of things which do not need objectification to be known because they are self-revealing. So either the thing is revealed by a means of knowledge like pot, cat, hat, rat, etc. Cat, hat, rat, mat, or pot, thought, or they are self-revealing Swatah Siddha, Swatah Siddha or Pramana Siddha. So now we have two categories, Pramana Siddha or Swatah Siddha. Yeah, very good. And so Swatah Siddha means that one is evident to oneself. How? By oneself. You don't need to ask the neighbor, am I here today? Please tell me. And if you tell me, I'll also do the favor of establishing you, and you can establish me, and then therefore we can go about our day. Because if I don't exist, how do I know that I have to go to work? This is a problem. So that problem doesn't arise. So Swatah Siddha, correct? Yeah. Swatah Siddha. Swatah Siddha and Pramana Siddha. So Pramana Siddha is for the entire universe of names and forms, is Pramana Siddha by Anumana, by Sakshi Pratyaksha, by this and that, and by the Pratyaksha Pramana, by inference, by perception, all these things you can have. The cognition of absence, etc., is for all the objects in the universe. The subject is not subject to a Pramana to reveal itself. Yeah. The subject reveals itself automatically. So it is Swatah Siddha. And so therefore, these two things we have to remember. Pramana Siddha, which is the whole universe. Swatah Siddha, only the I is Swatah Siddha. And if the I is Swatah Siddha, therefore we can stop lamenting why I don't need a means of knowledge to be revealed. Yeah. You don't need to be revealed. I cannot be objectified. It is so sad. I cannot objectify myself. You need not objectify yourself. Why? Because without objectifying yourself, you are already self-revealing. You reveal yourself. You reveal all the other things in the universe. What more do you want? And when do I do this? All the time. The student here is told, all the time. Nityam tvameva. Nityam tvameva tat. Nityam yat Brahma sarvatma. That Brahman you are in search of, O student, O Ashvalayana. And that Brahman is the truth of everyone and everything. It is the very foundation. It is the adhishthana of this universe. And then what? And it's the biggest thing that you know. And at the same time it is the subtler than the subtlest. And Nityam tvameva, it is always, Nityam means self-evident all the time, as you. Because there is only one thing. How many things are Swatah Siddha? That is my next question. There are many things that are established by Pramana. How many things are self-established? Only you. Yeah. Nityam tvameva, it is that ever self-revealing, ever self-luminous you. That is you. You are always there. And then the teacher repeats it because Ashvalayana must have done a double take. Who, me? You're talking of me or the student behind me? Who? Tvameva tat, he repeats for emphasis. Yeah, Nityam tvameva, yat tvam, anuprakshihi, whatever you had asked earlier, Nityam tvameva, and tvameva tat. You are that, and that is you. Because even if you say you are that, then maybe that is not me, I am that. No, that is also you. You are that. There is complete identity. So this kind of a sentence, what shall we call it? Mahavakya. Mahavakya. A sentence that reveals the identity between the lowly, peevish jiva and the great grand Ishvara. That is the, when that identity reveals, it is called Mahavakya. It is the ultimate in this knowledge. So, Nityam Tvameva Tat. That, that Brahman alone is you. There is nothing in you. And then who is this Tvam? The same Tvam, Tikakara says something beautiful here. He says, Tvam Karta Bhokta Avidya Vastutah Parabrahma Eva Natu Anyaha. The one the same one who is Brahman is the one who previously took oneself to be the doer, to be the enjoyer, to be the one who is full of self-ignorance. That same you is that Brahman alone, which is the whole, adhisthana of the entire, Jagat. Now the student had been quiet, listening to the teaching, correct? Yeah. Now the student starts talking. Because the student is telling the teacher, how this teaching changed his life. Kind of like the reflections, After the 1 month course, you reflect upon, see, I must have got this idea from Kaivalya Upanishad itself. After the 1 month course, the student reflects, this is what I learned. It's a very good thing to reflect, because the reflection, shows to yourself and to others. To yourself, it is good to recollect how this teaching and this study, how it altered your perception of yourself and the people around you. And it's also good for other people to hear, correct? Because then they derive certain inspiration that you can give them. And then if supposing you feel you have not been transformed at all, and then you hear 5-6 stories from other people how much they have been transformed, then you say, okay, maybe I have missed something and I have to think about this differently now. Because if other people like me are transformed, then I too am capable of receiving this knowledge. So like that, it inspires everyone. And so here the student starts to talk. Very beautiful. And so the rest of the time the student is going to talk, except at the very end. So the student says, now Ashvalayana is talking. Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi Prapancham Yat Prakashate Tad Brahmaham iti Jnatva Sarva Bandhaif Pramuchyate. Yeah, so he says, now that I have received the knowledge, I am really excited. So he is very excited at the knowledge, because from what he says, it's very clear that there is a lot of excitement. And in the excitement that he speaks, he shares it with, perhaps there are other students, he is sharing it with them, or he is sharing it with the teacher, what all he has learnt. And so he says, Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi Prapancham Yat Prakashate. Jagrat, the waking, Swapna, dreaming, Sushupti. Sushupti means what? Sleeping. Adipadat, Adi means etc. here. Adipadat, there was some question earlier asked that what about lucid dreaming? Yesterday Sachin was asking, what about lucid dreaming? Is that another state? And I said, yes, it is counted as a state, but not, these are the 3 main states. Lucid dreaming will also be a part of the dreaming state, but it is mentioned separately in the Mandukya Upanishad. And that lucid dreaming, that all-knowing state, is the state in which we say that the avatars are born already with self-knowledge. And so, avatars means incarnations of Bhagavan in the universe. And Bhagavan in a human form is already, an enlightened being. So that is what is called Ubhayataf Prajna. And so Adipadat, so Jagrat Swapna Sushupti, waking, dream and deep sleep state, and Adi means all this lucid dreaming and any other in-between state that might exist. All this prapancham, these worlds of the waking, dream and sleep, etc., yat, that which brings to light, that which brings to light, that power, that Shakti, that presence which illumines these three worlds of waking, dream, sleep, and beyond, if there are any, what happens? Then Tad Brahma, that Brahman alone I am, Aham iti jnatva, knowing this, Sarva bandhaihi pramuchyate. The person is freed from all kinds of bondage. Sarva bandhat, also elsewhere it is mentioned, Sarva bandhat pramuchyate, that is also, that is also an okay. Fifth case is also okay. Freed of the bonds of samsara, from the bonds, or you can say freed, you can use the third case, freed from the bonds, you can use the third case as well. So here, Sarva bandhaihi pramuchyate is freed from all the bondages. Who is saying this? Ashvalayana, the student. How can the student say that when one knows that the waker, dreamer and sleeping states, the truth of all that, as oneself, which is also the refuge of the entire universe, then all the bonds and the bondages drop away? How can Ashvalayana say that? Because he is seeing that in his life. He is seeing that as a result of this teaching, sitting right there in front of the Guru, because he is a very evolved sage. Correct? Yeah, 1 month course was enough, and or one Upanishad was enough. And so what's that? To completely loosen the bonds of samsara, no, not loosen, where the shackles dropped away. And so he is able to say that because he sees two things here. He sees that the waker, dreamer and sleeper, is I, but I am not any one of them. I visit these states like a visitor would, like yesterday we talked about the various states, like you have a summer house here, a winter house there, and you go here for some time, 3 months you stay there, then 1 month you stay here, but then none of those things, and let's say nowadays this new thing has started. Share time, sharing time.
Time share.
Huh? Time share, yes, time share. What do? You don't own the place. You just give money for upkeep. Somebody is making a lot of money, but you can go and stay there whenever you want. The house doesn't really belong to you, but it belongs to a bunch of people. Like that. It's called, you just buy the time. You don't buy the walls, the garden, the yard, the land or the building upon which the land stands. You only buy time, correct? Yeah. This is a perfect example. So the jiva does time share in the waking state, in the dream state and in the sleep state. This is a 3 time shares. It's all it is. Yeah. 8 hours in one place, 8 hours time you buy, and then you call it, you draw the blinds and switch off the lights and call it sleep state. And then you go into REM, which is a very special time share. Why? Because even though you spend only a few seconds in it, you feel like it's many, many hours, correct? Yeah. It's a very mithya time share. And then then you have the waking state, which is another time share. So just like in these holiday resorts, you buy the time, that you're going to spend there. You just give money for the time. You're not really buying the land, the condominium, nothing. You're not buying any of those things. You're just buying the time. And so like this, the jiva just buys a little bit of time here, it spends a little bit of time there, really. So the same I, which is free of all the 3 states, spends time in these 3 states. Kridati, Puratraye Kridati, we saw that, plays in these 3 states, like 3 cities. You just play in the 3 cities, and then that was how the teacher said. And you can't just repeat the same thing the teacher said, correct? Yeah. You have to make the knowledge your own and put it in your own words. So then in your own words, his own words, he's a serious student, he doesn't make a lot of jokes. Yeah, I don't think he makes a lot of jokes. Very serious wala hai bhai. Yeah, so he doesn't even make word plays or anything like that. Serious student. And what does he say? In the prapancha, in the universe in which the waker and the waking universe, the dreamer and the manifesting unmanifest universe, the sleeper and the unmanifest universe, the dreamer and the manifesting universe, that which illumines all these states, and then what? That is Brahman, and that Brahman I alone am. And knowing myself to be the stateless Brahman, all bondages drop away. This is a big thing to say. So he is saying two things. First he says, I know that I'm not any of these things, that I am objectifying. I am neither the waker nor the waking world. I am neither the dreamer nor the dreaming world. I am neither the sleeper nor an unmanifest world. So what are you? I am that which upholds all three without being any of them. So he is saying, that is the first thing he is saying. And the second thing he is saying is, therefore I am free of bondage. What is the therefore there? How can you say therefore? Just because I know I am neither the waker, sleeper or dreamer, and then I am free of bondage. What is the connection? The connection is that all bondage belongs to the states, not to the stateless I, that just goes to visit the states. Yeah. That's the good thing about timeshare. You don't have to repair anything. You don't have to go. You just go there, spend time, come out. That's all. You don't have to repair anything. If there is a crack in the wall, you don't have to do anything. If there is a hole in the wall also, you don't have to do anything. You just go there and then you have certain numbers and you complain and you just do things, and then everybody has a meeting and decides and it is fixed up. You don't have to call the plumber or the carpenter, anything like that. You just give the money. That's all it is, You buy into the timeshare. Unfortunately, without spending money, by just through a process of spending the currency of self-identification, you identify, you buy into the state. Yeah. And then you inherit all the problems of that particular state. And then cry, oh, oh. And the only way you know how to get out of the state is to get yourself deeper into the next state. Correct? Let me go to sleep because I can't handle the waking state. And then you cannot get up out of bed. That is what happens. So, therefore, knowing that I am, all the three come out of me and resolve in me and are sustained by me, but I am free of all of them, leads to the instant droppage, of samsara. No more samsara. All the bondage, the ocean of bondage becomes a notion of bondage. Yeah. So, this is what is the result when the ocean becomes the notion. This is the result of self-knowledge plus devotion. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Tomorrow is the last day of classes. So even if you haven't attended till now, attend tomorrow. And so we will have a marathon. We will conclude the Kaivalya Upanishad. And the student has, the student's words are very beautiful because Ashvalayana will say a few things which all of us should memorize and really say it first thing in the morning. It really dispels samsara. All of his things are so beautiful. So we will see that tomorrow, our Pacific Coast time, 9:30. Yeah. And then again at 4 o'clock. Yeah. Any questions are there? Feels bad classes will end. They will end as though. Yeah. It will not really end. Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't sent in your reflections, please do, because I'm eager to hear from you. And please know that even if you're not writing for yourself, there are many people who will be waiting to hear from you and who will want to hear because it will be a source of inspiration. Okay? Yeah. 0x0x. What is that?
Hugs and kisses.
Hugs and
Love,
kisses. Okay.
Appreciation.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How can Brahman be removed without leaving behind Brahman? Brahman cannot, that which you cannot remove is Brahman. As though, yeah. So do send in your reflection, pen a few words, and it is important to reflect, it is wonderful. See, even Ashvalayana is doing it, so I encourage all of you to do it. Yeah, because the learning goes deeper when you do that. Okay? Yeah. Om. Any questions here?
Yes.
Yes.
The three states, the waking, sleeping, and dreaming state, it's there but it's not me. So how does one, when does that realization happen? How does, is it...
When you wake up, say what is waking up. That's why it's very important to spend a few minutes in bed. Don't say every day I spend a few minutes in bed. No, not like that. Because like that you spend, what should I do? I don't want to do that. I don't feel like doing that. Let me turn over and get another shatai. Not that kind of spending time in bed. Yeah. We did that wonderful Pratha Smarana Stotram in Atlanta. It was just beautiful. Yeah. And there, that too, it is basically seeing yourself as, who is waking up. Yeah. You witness the waking up without attaching to the waking state. You practice that. Now that you've heard it, you witness just say, okay, the body is awake, the mind is awake, and the indweller is now occupying the waking state. Tell yourself that. The indweller is occupying the waking state. And before you go to sleep, say the indweller is going to the sleep state. Yeah.
So
And if you wake up in the same, and the surroundings are familiar, then you can say, okay, the indweller has is now coming to the waking state. And then you can say, what is the nature of the indweller? Neither the waker am I, nor the sleeper am I, nor the dreamer I am. I am just entering the timeshare called waking state. Yeah. Tell yourself that. Start tomorrow morning. Yeah. And tell me if there is a difference. Yeah. Om, see you tomorrow. See you all tomorrow.